Hello, my name is Alexandra.
And this is the Idea Buffet Podcast.
This is where we take a whole stack of interesting sources, articles, notes, research, and really dig into them to pull out the key insights for you.
That's right.
And today, we're setting off on, well, quite an enchanting journey, actually. We're looking at a beloved animated classic, one that, when you look closer, has surprising depth. We are, of course, talking about Disney's 1991 film, Beauty and the Beast. Now, we all know the basic story, right? Young woman, cursed prince.
Sure.
But believe me, there's so much more going on beneath that gorgeous animation. Lots to unpack.
Absolutely. It really goes beyond just being a fairy tale, doesn't it? When you delve in, it's quite a sharp look at human nature, prejudice, even how society changes.
It is surprisingly deep.
Much richer than it might seem at first glance. And the insights, they still feel very relevant today.
Exactly. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We've gathered some fantastic sources, and we're going to unpack them for you. Find those crucial bits of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts, and really explore what makes this film so impactful. We want to go beyond just retelling the plot. We'll look at what made it revolutionary, its legacy, and why it sort of keeps speaking to new generations, why we should all maybe look a little deeper. Okay, so where does this story really begin? It has to be with the Beast himself, or rather the prince he once was. The beginning paints a picture of this young prince who had everything, living in this amazing castle.
Absolutely everything.
But the narration tells us, quite bluntly, he was spoiled, selfish, and unkind.
Not mincing words there, are they? He sounds like a bit of a rotter, really. Completely self-absorbed.
He does. And his downfall, the whole reason this story happens, it kicks off one freezing winter night.
Yeah, the sources describe this old beggar woman coming to his castle, freezing cold outside. All she wants is shelter.
Just shelter from the bitter cold, yeah. And she offers him something in return, doesn't she?
A single rose. Such a simple, humble offering. But this moment, it's crucial. It immediately shows up his biggest flaws.
His lack of empathy.
Exactly. His complete inability to see beyond himself.
Because he's instantly put off by her appearance, isn't he? The sources say he was repulsed by her haggard appearance.
Doesn't just say no, he actually sneers at her gift, turns her away, slams the door.
It's incredibly callous, not just bad manners. It's rooted in that deep arrogance, that total lack of feeling for anyone else, judging purely on looks.
Spot on. And it highlights that really ingrained flaw he has right from the start.
And then comes the warning, the core message of the whole film, really.
That pivotal line. As she turns to leave, she warns him not to be deceived by appearances, for beauty is found within.
The absolute heart of the story right there.
It is, but does he listen? Of course not. He just dismisses her completely, too wrapped up in himself.
And only then, after he's failed this test of basic human kindness, does her appearance change.
Her ugliness melts away, and she's revealed as this beautiful, powerful enchantress.
Crikey. Bit of a shock for him.
Too little, too late, though, isn't it? He tries to apologize then, sees his mistake, but she's seen his heart.
Or the lack of love in it.
Precisely. There was no love in his heart. And the punishment is instant and severe.
It really is. She transforms him into this hideous beast, a sort of physical manifestation of his ugly personality.
Yeah, his inner self made external.
And she doesn't stop there, does she? She casts this powerful spell on the whole castle, everyone inside.
All his servants, too. Imagine, one minute you're polishing silver, the next you're the silver polish. Or a teapot.
Awful for them. They did nothing wrong. Just caught up in his curse.
A truly terrible situation for everyone involved. But she does leave him a way out, doesn't she? A very specific, very difficult path back.
The enchanted rose.
Exactly. Not just any rose. It's like a clock, ticking down his time. It'll bloom until his 21st year.
And the only way to break this spell.
He has to learn to love another and earn her love in return. Crucially, it has to be reciprocated. By the time the last petal fell...
No pressure there.
None at all. If he fails, if that last petal drops before he manages it, he's stuck. Doomed to remain a beast for all time.
It's quite the setup.
It really is. And what's fascinating, I think, is how this opening immediately sets up the core conflict. You see the beast plunged into despair.
Utter isolation.
Right. Burdened by this isolation, the self-inflicted misery. He's like a wounded soul, isn't he? Grappling with who he's become because of his own actions.
So it's not just a monster story.
Not at all. It's immediately setting the stage for a story about redemption. about internal struggle. You feel a bit sorry for him despite his initial awfulness.
Yeah, you do. It makes him compelling right from the start. Okay, so we've got a beast hiding away in his castle, cursed, miserable, a prisoner of his past. Now let's shift focus to our heroine, Belle, and her world, which is just completely different. We find her in this quaint village, Ilnu, very ordinary place, it seems.
Very picturesque provincial life.
And she's described as this bookish and independent young woman. She lives somewhat apart from her neighbors and their routines.
She definitely stands out, doesn't she? Even in a small village, you can tell she's not quite like everyone else.
It's her love of books, isn't it? Her passion for literature.
Yeah.
And that unconventional spirit.
Absolutely. That's what sets her apart. And it leads to this sort of gentle isolation, even though she seems perfectly kind. She just doesn't quite fit the mold.
She wants more.
She does. That thirst for knowledge fuels these dreams of adventures beyond the confines of her small town, which is, as you say, a real contrast to the villagers who seem quite content with their lot.
She's looking outwards.
Always yearning for something bigger.
And then there's her father, Maurice. Bless him. Described as a somewhat hapless but well-meaning inventor.
Always tinkering away, isn't he? Surrounded by gears and steam.
His inventions are often impractical, apparently.
Yeah.
Tend to explode or just
Yeah.
not work.
Yes, but it comes from a good place. A genuine desire to improve life. It shows his creative spirit, even if the execution is a bit wobbly.
And it's lovely that Belle is clearly inspired by her father's inventive nature. You see where she gets that nonconformist streak from.
They're quite the pair, aren't they? The village eccentrics, set apart by their ideas and dreams.
They really are. Charming, though.
Definitely. And if you look at the bigger picture, this contrast is set up so well right at the start. You've got Belle with her quiet solitude, her intellectual curiosity.
In a village that doesn't quite get her.
Right. And then you contrast that with the Beast in his huge, opulent castle where his life was all about cruelty and justice, a total lack of understanding.
Inner versus outer worlds.
Exactly. Superficiality versus substance. It
Yeah.
lays out that core thematic tension straight away. It's clever stuff.
It really is. A brilliant setup. Meanwhile, back in the castle, the prince is now fully the Beast, hiding away.
Utterly ashamed of his monstrous form, so he shuts himself off inside his castle, total self-imposed exile.
With only that magic mirror as his window to the outside world. Literally cut off.
But not completely alone, technically. We get introduced to the enchanted objects, the former servants.
Ah, yes, the staff. Lumiere, the candelabra. He's great fun.
Flamboyant, isn't he? This was to say he was a theatrical performer before, which makes sense. All charm and wit, even as a candlestick.
And Cogsworth, the clock.
Yeah.
Always wound up.
Yes, the former major domo, trying desperately to keep things orderly, bless him, usually failing comically. Very British sense of anxiety about him.
And Mrs. Potts, the teapot, so warm and motherly.
A real comforting presence.
Uh-huh.
And her son, Chip, the teacup, full of spirit.
And they're all stuck, aren't they? Bound to their object forms by the same curse.
Sharing his misery, his isolation, but also clinging to that same tiny sliver of hope. Their freedom is tied to his transformation.
Which makes their reaction to Belle really interesting.
That's a really good point, because initially they're apprehensive, aren't they? Their reaction mirrors the Beast's hostility.
Understandable, maybe, after years of disappointment.
Exactly. Fear of getting their hopes up again. But Belle, her kindness, her unwavering spirit, her sheer bravery, it wins them over pretty quickly.
So they see her potential.
They do. And this is vital. It shows they're not just there for jokes. They become facilitators. They need Belle to succeed. Their hope is suddenly rekindled because of her.
They become her allies.
Absolutely. Providing that emotional support, that gentle nudging for both Belle and the Beast. They're actively trying to make this work. It shows how community, even when born from a curse, can be crucial for change. You don't heal alone.
Right. So we have these two separate worlds. The castle, full of despair and magic. The village, with its quiet longing.
Poised to collide.
And the catalyst, the thing that really sets the main story in motion, is poor Maurice's journey. He's out testing his latest invention.
The self-propelled windmill. Sounds about right for Maurice. Wonderfully ambitious, probably slightly dangerous.
Exactly. And he accidentally wandered far from the village, gets hopelessly lost in the dark forest, just as a storm kicks off. Typical inventor, maybe. Lost in thought.
A classic setup for misadventure. And it changes everything. He's looking for shelter, naturally, and stumbles upon this forbidding, seemingly abandoned castle.
Looks imposing, Probably quite scary.
Definitely. He goes inside, completely unaware of the curse, just wanting to get out of the rain.
And then he comes face to face with the beast.
Who, by this point, has had years of isolation hardening him, still very much in the grip of that anger and misery.
And true to form, the beast is enraged by Maurice's intrusion. He just locks him up.
Yeah, straight in the dungeon. It really shows how far he still has to go, still reacting with anger, possessiveness.
But that act, imprisoning Maurice, is the trigger. Because Belle finds out he's missing.
She discovers he's gone, follows his trail, right to the ominous castle.
And this is where her bravery just shines, doesn't it?
Immense bravery. Driven by that fierce love for her father, she just walks right in. Fearlessly entered the enchanted castle.
And then makes that incredible offer.
That pivotal moment, offering herself as prisoner instead of her father. Pure self-sacrifice.
Which is such a stark contrast to the prince's selfishness at the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Turning away the old woman.
Exactly. It's a direct opposition. And it's the real start of the transformation for both of them.
The castle itself starts to change then, doesn't it? From just being this place of fear and isolation.
It starts to become something else. A setting for an unlikely relationship built on her bravery, her compassion, and this glimmer of hope for redemption.
It stops being just a prison.
Yeah.
It becomes, well, a crucible maybe, for change.
Absolutely. A place where real transformation can happen. And the enchanted servants, they play a huge part in that, don't they?
They really do. Lumiere, using his charm and wit, trying to entertain Belle, brings some light relief.
Those big musical numbers, trying to make her feel welcome.
While Cogsworth is trying to keep things proper, maintain a semblance of order, often hilariously.
His fussiness somehow makes the situation feel slightly more manageable, perhaps, in a strained way.
And Mrs. Potts, offering that warmth, that comfort and support, making Belle feel like she belongs somehow.
They're essentially her first friends there, creating a little pocket of warmth in a cold place.
So they're not just furniture. They're actively helping Belle adjust, and maybe helping the beast too.
Definitely. They see Belle as their only hope, so they're invested. And through interacting with them, Belle starts to learn about the beast's past.
Ah, okay. She gets glimpses behind the monster.
Exactly. Glimpses of the kind prince hidden beneath that monstrous exterior. She starts seeing more than just the beast long before he's ready to show it himself.
Because the servants are subtly guiding things.
You could say that. Their own hope is renewed by Belle. Her compassion and unwavering optimism lifts their spirits, so they offer her emotional support.
And maybe nudge the beast in the right direction too.
I think so, gently encouraging him, helping both of them navigate this incredibly weird, scary situation. It shows how that community born from a shared curse becomes essential. They need each other to break it. It's a powerful message about support fostering change.
Okay, so while things are slowly, tentatively changing inside the castle walls,
Trouble is brewing outside.
big trouble in the form of Gaston. He's introduced as this vain and narcissistic hunter, utterly obsessed with marrying Belle.
And he just cannot handle her saying no, sees it as a personal affront to his massive ego.
The sources describe him as having considerable physical strength, very imposing, but totally lacking in genuine charm or empathy.
Relies on intimidation, manipulation, brute force, and swagger.
He's the absolute picture of toxic masculinity, isn't he?
Pretty much. Completely fueled by his own inflated ego and egged on by the villagers who seem easily impressed by his bravado.
It shows the danger of valuing surface appearances, doesn't it? He looks the part of the hero, but inside.
He's rotten. It's a brilliant contrast to the beast who looks monstrous but is slowly finding his humanity.
And Gaston hatches this really nasty plan.
Deceptive and cruel, yeah.
Yeah,
He decides to force Belle into marriage by using her father's situation, knowing she'll do anything for Maurice.
he plans to use Maurice being crazy or imprisoned as leverage.
Exactly. And then he whips up the villagers, tells them these exaggerated tales of the beast's supposed danger.
Playing on their fear and prejudice.
It's quite chilling how easily he manipulates them, turns them into a mob, shows how quickly fear can take hold.
It really does. And this display, Gaston's manipulation, the villagers' willingness to believe the worst. It's such a sharp contrast to what's happening between Belle and the beast.
That fragile, genuine connection growing in the castle, It really throws the film's themes into sharp relief, inner beauty versus just looking good, judging versus understanding.
Gaston is the real monster in many ways.
He represents that dangerous, handsome evil that society often overlooks or even celebrates.
And this conflict with Gaston, it creates this external pressure cooker, doesn't it?
It pushes Belle and the Beast closer together, almost forces them to acknowledge their feelings. They have to confront not just each other, but the ignorance outside.
They become united against him, in a way.
They do. And what's clever, narratively speaking, is that Gaston's actions, driven by pure ego and arrogance, actually pave the way for the climax.
He pushes things to breaking point.
Exactly. He becomes the catalyst for the final confrontation, the thing that forces the Beast to truly prove his transformation. Ironically, Gaston's evil helps break the curse in the end.
Which brings us to that incredibly dramatic climax. Gaston, absolutely livid that Belle rejected him, his pride wounded.
That ego just couldn't take it.
He leads this mob of misguided villagers to storm the castle, a full-scale attack.
It's terrifying, isn't it? Pure mob rule fueled by fear and Gaston's lies.
And inside, it's chaos. This chaotic clash between Gaston's men and the enchanted objects trying to defend their home.
It's quite a spectacle, magical warfare using household items.
It is. You've got Lumiere and Cogsworth, who aren't exactly warriors, right? A candelabra and a clock.
Hardly.
But they fight so bravely, showing their loyalty. Lumiere using his flames.
Creating diversions, yeah. And Cogsworth using his weight and fussiness to create obstacles, tripping people up.
Even Mrs. Potts and Chip are in the thick of it, offering support, encouragement. It's amazing bravery from them all.
It really is. They're fighting for their home, for their future.
And the Beast. He's hesitant at first, isn't he? Still battling his own nature.
Yes, that gentleness he's found makes him reluctant to fight. But when Gaston goes directly for Belle,
he snaps. He unleashes his power to protect Belle.
It shows how completely he's changed. His priority is her safety now, not his own anger or isolation. He's fighting for someone, not just lashing out.
And then Gaston's end. Poetic justice, maybe.
Definitely. His own treachery and overconfidence lead to his downfall. He falls from the castle roof, a direct result of his own blind rage and ambition.
A fitting end. But the truly crucial moment is the Beast's action right after.
That pivotal moment of self-sacrifice. He saves Belle from Gaston, but is grievously wounded himself. He puts her life before his own.
Proving the depth of his love.
Yeah.
His transformation is complete.
And that selfless act, that's what does it. That's what breaks the curse. Just as the last petal fell from the enchanted rose.
Perfect timing.
Beautifully symbolic, isn't it? His inner beauty, his changed heart, finally breaks the physical curse. And interestingly, the animators apparently chose to make his transformation back to human quite brief.
Really? Why's that?
To emphasize that his real transformation was internal. His true beauty was the love he'd found, his changed character, not just getting his old looks back. A subtle but powerful point.
That is clever. So the curse lifts. The Beast is restored to his former princely self.
But he's not the same prince. His heart forever changed by the power of love and compassion.
And the film ends with that iconic scene. The reformed prince and Belle dancing happily in the ballroom.
Gorgeous scene, a real testament to the enduring power of love and acceptance, a triumph over prejudice, celebrating inner beauty.
And the whole castle comes back to life, doesn't it? A joyous celebration.
Completely transformed from that gloomy place. And the villagers turn up, their fear gone, replaced with awe and wonder.
They see the truth now.
Maurice is reunited with Belle, beaming with pride. Relief all round.
And their servants. They're human again.
Back to their true selves. Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts. You see their pure joy. Their happiness is infectious. It shows that the ripple effect of the transformation.
It's a celebration of forgiveness, too, maybe.
Absolutely. Their union isn't just romance. It's about overcoming adversity, healing, a whole community, finding a new beginning free from the past. It's a really holistic sense of happily ever after.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit, because as you say, this ending isn't just about the couple. It suggests a bigger shift, a societal one.
Definitely. The villagers, who were so easily led by Gaston's hate-mongering.
They witnessed the transformation. They saw the truth with their own eyes. It wasn't just hearsay.
And the film shows this change so subtly. Through visual cues, you see their faces change. From fear, suspicion.
To wonder, awe. And then they join the celebration. Hesitantly at first, maybe, then with joy.
It's brilliant visual storytelling, showing, not just telling you, that the community has learned something.
So the film implies this reformed community. one that's learned about, judging by appearances, the importance of empathy.
Exactly. It suggests this positive ripple effect goes beyond the castle walls. It's a message about social change, not just personal redemption. You can imagine the village being different afterwards. More open, maybe?
Perhaps more accepting of Maurice's inventions now.
Quite possibly. The sources actually detail this. They suggest the villagers became less quick to judge, more open to understanding. Maurice finds greater acceptance. His eccentricity isn't madness anymore, it's just Maurice.
And Belle. She's not the outsider anymore.
No, she becomes this respected figure, sharing her love of books, fostering that value for knowledge in the community.
And the prince rules differently, presumably.
With wisdom and compassion, yes. His reign demonstrates the lessons he learned. Empathy, selflessness. It shows his personal journey has a lasting impact on everyone.
So it really is a comprehensive transformation, not just a fairy tale ending.
Not at all. And the characters themselves are so key to this lasting impact. The nuance in them. Belle, for instance. She's not just waiting around.
No, she's proactive,
Right.
driven by her intellectual curiosity, her independence.
She really broke the mold for Disney heroines, didn't she? Defied those stereotypes. Strong, smart, shapes her own path.
And the beast, not just a monster.
No, a wounded soul. Grappling with his flaws, his journey is about self-acceptance, shedding that rage. It's deeply psychological. You mentioned earlier the animators struggled to make him look sympathetic.
Yes, finding that balance.
They apparently used incredibly subtle eye movements and facial expressions, even in beast form, to show that inner conflict, that vulnerability. It was crucial to making you care about him.
Fascinating. And Gaston is the perfect counterpoint.
The embodiment of superficiality, unchecked ambition, shows that handsome looks can hide real monstrosity.
And the enchanted objects.
Yeah.
More than just comic relief.
Oh, absolutely. They bring such emotional depth. They humanize the castle, represent loyalty, resilience, hope. Their interactions add so much warmth and ground, the fantasy.
Now we have to talk about the sheer artistry. Beauty and the Beast was visually stunning, revolutionary for its time.
Absolutely. The hand-drawn animation reached this incredible level of detail, expressiveness, just beautiful craftsmanship.
And they used computers too, didn't they? For some of those big scenes.
Yes, that was pioneering. They used the CIPS system, computer animation production system, developed with Pixar. It allowed for things like those sweeping camera movements in the ballroom scene.
Ah, blending the hand-drawn characters with 3D backgrounds.
Exactly. Created this amazing sense of depth and fluidity. And the colors, that vibrant palette in the castle versus the more muted village tones, visually reinforcing the story.
And the music. Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, the songs are just iconic.
Crucial to its success, they're not just songs plumped in, they're woven into the story. They advance the plot, reveal character.
Amplify the emotion, like a Broadway musical on film almost.
Yeah. That's exactly what they were aiming for, and they nail it. Each song serves a purpose.
Belle sets up her character in the village. Gaston reveals his ego. Be Our Guest is pure spectacle, but also shows the servant's hope.
Something there charts the changing relationship.
And the title song, Beauty and the Beast, is the emotional core. The score is just inseparable from the film's power. It's unforgettable.
So what about its impact overall? It really kicked off a new era for Disney, didn't it? Redefined the Disney Renaissance.
Completely. Set a new standard for animation. Technical skill, sophisticated story, emotional depth. It raised the bar.
And influenced others.
Hugely. It encouraged more complex characters, morally gray areas in animation. Plus, it was a massive hit. Box office records, incredible merchandising, became a cultural phenomenon.
And beyond the business side, its themes just endure, don't they? Self-acceptance, love, inner beauty.
Still resonate. That's why it has such lasting appeal. You see it in the stage shows, the adaptations, the characters, the songs. They're part of our collective memory now.
It's a cultural touchstone, definitely. And it made a real contribution culturally, too, didn't it? Challenging older fairy tale tropes, especially around gender roles. Belle's agency was quite radical for its time.
Promoting a more nuanced portrayal of women. It really is a cornerstone film. Changed the game. Hashtag outro. So, wrapping up this deep dive, it's crystal clear, isn't it? Beauty and the Beast is so much more than just a love story.
How much more?
It's this incredibly rich narrative about personal transformation, but societal too. Its legacy is huge. The art, the music, the technology, those timeless themes.
Absolutely. And that core message, That true beauty isn't about how you look. It's about character, compassion. That feels more relevant than ever today, doesn't it?
It really does.
It kind of gently nudges you, the viewer, to maybe think about your own biases, to look beyond the surface.
So here's something to think about as we finish. Consider this. What beasts might exist in your own perceptions? Maybe of people, maybe situations. Things you judged by appearance that might actually hold some hidden inner beauty, just waiting for a bit of kindness, a bit of understanding to be revealed.
That's a great thought.
Maybe go back and watch the film again with fresh eyes. Look for those little visual hints of change, that power of empathy. It's all in there. Until next time, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.